This is the optimum.
Everybody was so impressed by Abhay's first presentation, and many of you are wondering what is the nature of this very center. Many of you asked me, and I told them, I don't know, ask Abhay. I thought, why don't we ask Abhay to actually give a presentation about Center for Information and Nuclear Science?
Thank you. Yeah. So this is a very informative few slides I put together from our annual reviews and the status, and they're not complete because I got this message fairly late, and I just prepared a few slides. But I do want you to get a flavor of what we do here, what is this center about, and it could be that you will come here in the future as postdocs or speakers or researchers. And I want to give you a flavor of what we do again, apologies for some typos or some remnants because I was in a hurry changing slides to accommodate for this half an hour today. So the center was set up in September 2017 with a generous donation and help from the Simons Foundation, augmented by New York State, and also helped with the Brookhaven National Lab. And the aim of the center, right from the beginning, was to support scientific activities and interests around the Electron-Ion Collider. It was a dedicated center for the science promotion of the Electron-Ion Collider. But the main thing I emphasize here is that everything that we do is focused on early career scientists. So we don't take, we have faculty, 4 experimental nuclear physics faculty. There are 5 theorists, or maybe 5 and 6. There are postdocs. The local group doesn't carry any salaries. All the money that comes in is used for early career scientists, either postdocs, student support, visitors like you, schools, etc., etc. So I want to give you a flavor for what we do. So the idea was to attract and support early career scientists because we recognize that around the DOE complex or in the universities around the world, there is no dedicated funding yet for the Electron-Ion Collider. Now there is a project called Electron-Ion Collider, and we are spending money to construct it. But still, university folks do not have enough money to support postdoctoral fellows or graduate students. And those, considering the timeline of the Electron-Ion Collider, those are the ones we actually need to support right now. And this is what we are doing here. So this is what we decided we will spend all the money for, to seed future collaborators amongst yourself and with us. So the work on so what we do is we work closely with the EIC user group, the Electron-Ion Collider user group. You might have heard that there is a interest group, which is a non-committal, non-binding agreement of collaboration. So we work very closely with that. We work closely with Brookhaven and Jefferson Lab to realize EIC and expand its scientific scope. So that was our vision in 2017 to start that. It's a 10-year grant and started operations around 2018, realistically, because the money came in. Then we had a renovation of all this whole thing. This looked much different then, by the way. We probably should look at some old pictures. This entire floor looked very different, much older than what it looks now. But it was really essential that we do that, and New York State supported that kind of a renovation. So we have an international advisory committee that reviews our operation annually, and I write to them, or we have an on-site or Zoom review. There are international scholars in deep inelastic scattering from various parts of the world. Then we have people from the labs who are ex officio. So Eric Brown is now the deputy director for Jefferson Lab. Dmitry Denisov, again, this is a leftover from the past. I am now the I realize, so I should be here. Overhand, who is the current chair of the user group. They are all ex officio. We have a program advisory committee, the scientific program that we run, and I will tell you what it is, but I get advice from people who are experts in various things. I send them proposals for visitors, for workshops, whatever we get, we send input to that, and we say, okay, can you tell us your comments? Can you tell us how we are doing? And so based on the input that we get, we typically go ahead with the operations. So here are the people who actually run this thing. On a day-to-day basis, there is a local steering committee, which is made up of Brookhaven and Stony Brook folks here, just because they're all here. The summer school coordinators, we have great leaders here, Fred and Alexei, along with Ross Corliss. We have seminar coordinators who are local postdocs who run the things and administer support from Socorro and Melissa that you have met before. So what are all the activities we have? So we have joint seminars between Stony Brook and Brookhaven. By the way, you probably have not traveled. It's about 20 miles away. It takes about 40 minutes by a bus. There's a bus transportation every day during the semester. I think it goes down a little bit during summer, but there is a continuous 3 buses, morning, afternoon, and so you can come here, stay on campus here, attend lectures there, seminars, or vice versa. If you're at the lab, you can come out here on a public transportation. So we have the joint seminars. That is here on Thursday afternoon, every 2. We have workshops and ad hoc meetings. We have about 10 events a year, 6 workshops, which are typically 3 or more days, and 4 to 5 short meetings, which are specifically for some detailed activity. So what does the workshop consist of? About 30 people show up, and they are sitting in this room. Typically, exactly the routine is like this. You have coffee, tea served all the time. You can have discussions. You have proposals, as I mentioned to you. Those proposals are made earlier in the year. We get them evaluated. If the advisory committee tells me that this is a good workshop to go forward, we go with it. Often we insist that postdocs and early career scientists propose those workshops. But that's really important for us, that those are the ones who are leading activities. They don't have to be always senior faculty. You can have, of course, people on your group who are helping you with that, but we really encourage that part to be high. Now we have so that's a workshop is about 3+ days. And then we have something called the ad hoc meetings. A recent example of this was a group contacted us saying that we need to have some calculations done for radiative corrections. Radiative corrections are extremely important for the EIC, and radiative corrections, particularly for nuclei, EA scattering, are extremely preliminary. Not really to calculate, it's not well thought out completely in detail, and a lot more work needs to be done. So that group contacted us and said, hey, we need to get together with 10 people and have a working day or a couple of days together to solve some critical problems. Yes. Then that's called an ad hoc meeting. We supported that for 1 or 2 days. They came here. Again, like any workshop, they got some support, administrative, but also physical space. They can work here. And so those are called the ad hoc meetings, and that can be topical, very detailed. It's like a workshop. People come here and work there. We have CFNS postdoctoral fellows. So typically, we used to have joint effort on both sides. There's people who would get hired at Brookhaven first, because that existed when we started the center. There are about 4 to 5 postdocs have been hired so far. At Stony Brook, we have hired in the early part about 4. And then we realized that universities, and then we hit COVID at that time. We hit COVID, so people could not travel, which meant that we had to get work done preparing for the EIC detector design. The yellow report you saw in multiple talks here. I'll show you something. That yellow report was entirely written during COVID times. People were sitting at home doing simulations, but at the same time, there was a need for hiring postdocs on EIC. Again, the problem was nobody had funding for EIC. So at that point, we started a joint remote CFNS postdoctoral program, in which a university takes charge of 50% of the salary, and we pay 50% of the salary. So the university PI who has written a proposal to DOE or NSF that says, we are going to do GPDs at Jefferson Lab. Then that person is not allowed officially to let the postdoc spend time on an EIC topic. But if it is connected scientifically, because GPDs we also want to see, then I would be willing to, center pushes 50% of the salary so that you can actually spend time working on that. And it doesn't go against the activities there. Yeah. So that's the kind of nature of our joint appointments. And we have had many, many of them. So far, over the last 9 years, we've had it should be about 30 postdoctoral fellows who've graduated and achieved tenure or are on tenure track position, which is really a hallmark of a good center and the quality of students and postdocs that we have received. And I'll show you some of those. We have long and short-term visitor program. We support people coming in for talks, but also people come here for a week or 2 weeks and say, I want to focus, get away from my home institute. I don't want to get into any meetings. I want to focus on writing our paper. If that paper is connected to any EIC science, we have supported such a visit. So people come here, they spend a week, we have the space here, they can focus, they can talk to us, but they don't need to talk to us. I want to sit down and write a paper, they write the paper. Summer schools, I think you're witnessing that. And various programs that we have started for outreach and underrepresented minorities. Typically, we have estimated about 350 people show up in a year at the center. And if you count the number who join us on Zoom, then it's double that amount. Yeah. In years of COVID, this number was much higher because everyone was on the Zoom. So I picked up some names. This is the kind of seminars we had in 2020. I just scanned, and you can find all of this on the scale. If you just go to the webpage, you'll see all of those details. But you can see every 2 weeks there is a seminar of some kind on various topics, not on a particularly focused one, but anything related to the EIC is a theory or experiment or spin related or low X physics, hadronization, jet physics, technologies and detector, anything that is related to EIC. We have these things running. And I said, these were the postdocs at that time in 2020, and you can see at least already, these two are now tenured faculty. Adrian is on the way, and Yongzhao is also, he's at Argonne, right? So he's also tenured. So you can see the postdocs just 5 years ago, 6 years ago, now have either tenure track or permanent positions. Okay, so typically the workshops, the way it works is around 1st of July. Well, first of all, the solicitations go out in February or so. We said, we are looking for postdoc proposals for next year. Please send them. Then by June, July, we make a decision. We start sending out acceptances, and then we plan the dates from September to October. Again, these are the kind of workshops that we had. Again, you can see these are from 19 over to 20, that scan I just picked up, and you can see, and you can still go to these links and see this, everything is live, and we retain everything. You can actually visit and see what workshops were there, what kind of conclusions were written. Often these people come up with white papers at the end of the workshop that say, this is our summary, which is very valuable to us to make the case for such things going in the forward future. So that's something that is very important. This was another one from 2021. On this, and this one is the most recent 2026 workshop list. You can click and look at that. I looked at the 2020 paper publication outspit. There were about 85 publications in various. So those who came in here, worked with us, or had discussions here, and then acknowledged that in their publication, these are the kind of things that we did in a typical year. I mentioned to the yellow report that was really critical. It has about 2,500 citations now. You can see that, don't look at Thomas Ulrich's talk, but this should have been Bernd Sorrow's talk, right? Bernd gave this talk. But anyway, this was the year in which we were hiding at home, hiding from COVID, but we had people working, all postdocs and junior scientists, early scientists, working, preparing this paper this detector design proposal, really, that eventually became a serious proposal or the foundation for the detector design that came through. Here are some of the earliest ones that I found, and I looked at where they are now. I think all of them have positions, permanent positions. You heard from him. Kong is sitting there. He was one of our early ones. He's now a tenured, well, yeah, permanent physicist at Brookhaven. And you see some of them others too. Some of the times that I want to point out, students came to us for more than 8 months. They came here, they did research with us. She did work with us. She eventually first went to Temple. Now she's finishing her PhD at UIUC on Atlas, I think. So I think even undergraduate students who came here for a longer time, they actually benefited from such. And we are really taking care, and we are very proud of our people who move out. The other thing we started early on was data from Zeus and H1. The Hera experiments stopped operating in 2006. That was the last run. But the data exist and they're maintained well. Now, what has happened since then, that the theoretical ideas moved on. So there is value in visiting those data again before the EIC comes along, because we won't have high energy, deep inelastic scattering data. So now this is an instrument that we have set up. We started around 2014 or 15. And that's, first of all, DOE doesn't fund this. DOE or NSF didn't fund this at all. We tried very hard. We couldn't get funding. When the center started 2017, we started, okay, we can fund it through here. So we started that process. We started publishing papers. Every year, about 2 to 3 papers come out now, H1 or Zeus. People are involved in this now. I mean, Kong is deeply involved. But that really has triggered some, even DOE, to now acknowledge that such a thing could be valuable for the EIC. Of course, since then, EIC has become more real, so DOE is more willing to let people work on it. Not full-time. You can't get a postdoc or a studentship full-time on H1 or Zeus. But if you say that I'm going to do something on STAR or do something at Jefferson Lab, and then 20% of my time I'm going to think about the future by looking at the past. And that people seem to be getting funding for. So this has really worked out well. I want to comment that when we realized in the last 3 years, we could not get students get visas in time. Visas became slow, first in COVID, and then because of the political, is recording, right? Okay. Once we realized that, we realized that we still have to go over and make sure that scientists from all over the world have the access to EIC science. So instead of getting 50 people from outside to Stony Brook, we decided that we would go out ourselves. So we have started this now. So the summer schools are now happening every alternate year in Asia. In fact, the Asia school is coming up in next week in Japan. No, sorry. Where is, oh, no. The one it happened already with CTEC this year in February in India. But there is a school happening in EIC sometime in fall in Japan. There is an alternate year school going on with Europe. And this is something that we just collaborate. They take the example that we have started and then they evaluate and that evolves. There is one we have started in South America now. And there is activity going on with the hope of doing this on the African continent. So this is something that more students can take advantage of this. So we actually support teachers to go there instead of, that's a smaller number. We can send them easy. Oh, this is something that is, sorry. This was 2025 picture, but that's okay. And this was a typical distribution of our school from 2021 I found on our web. Thanks to Alexei, who keeps all nice record of that. So what happened during that time? You remember this? EIC started moving. Our center was set up in 17. And if I had been asked at that point, when would the EIC process would start, I would have said 5 years, so 2023. Nobody was expecting this. but it started much earlier. I don't want to take credit for it, but I think the early part that we pushed very hard on all fronts after the long-range plan in 2015 was really helpful in doing that. And the early science that came out, detected designs, they were all helpful in getting there. So I think this is the time scale now. I think you've seen in various places. So we have about 10 years before this happens. And I already mentioned to you that the center started in 17 for 10 years. So that's 27. Next year is formally the last year. We are now starting to write proposals for the extension. Whether we'll get it or not, we don't know. What kind of things that will be happening, we don't know. But this is something that we are thinking of doing anyway. I think you've seen this slide multiple times now. This is the EIC project. The electron ring needs to be built. The blue ring has to come out, is coming out now, and the yellow ring will remain for the EIC. I talked about the user group, worldwide group. Now you see that's how big the group has become, with about 900 institutions around the world with 80 plus universities. And the detector design, the yellow report that I mentioned to you, has evolved into a real proposal, which is being done with very significant contributions from various countries. Yeah. I think in my talk the other day, I showed you some of the early plots and the evolution with all the papers. But these are the three final ones that I want to highlight. Those are the ones that really came out during the tenure, during the time of this center. 2018 National Academy report, the design for the Erie Collider, and the yellow report. So those were critically where our postdocs made tremendous contributions. Another thing that I've noticed is, this is a talk recently given just earlier this week by a head of the DOE nuclear physics, nuclear and particle physics group. And I start seeing this slide everywhere. And you can probably notice this one, right? So the center is now identified in all slides as the place where you see this. That's how you identify it's the CFNS summer school. But this starts looking very, very interesting to us. When they talk about EIC, they talk about the summer school here, and they talk about all facilities, but they show a Phoenix detector. So that's really tells you the gravity of the focus that is coming in nuclear physics as we go forward. So this is my summary. I think the center, we promote electron-ion collider, its science, and early career scientists. Those are the two things that if someone asks you, what are we doing at the center? Those are the two things, EIC-related science through the young scientists. And it is being built since 2021. And one of the most important contributions I think we have made is we have injected 25, at least, junior faculty to this system, in this. They are now writing their own grants to work eventually on EIC. And some of you will be doing the same thing in a few years. In fact, we have already received students of our first batch of summer students who came in as students. Now they have become assistant professors, and now they're sending their students. So this is something that we are very, very happy about. And that's the happiness that you see. This was a picture of you, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So now you have your answer to the question asked.
Okay, very good. He's also one of those.
So yeah, as you mentioned that the next year is really critical for the center, and as let's say the ex-beneficiary like myself who benefit this effort, and how can we help? How can we help you?
You will help me.
No, when I asked this question, I really meant the collective we.
Yeah.
It's the people who you have helped as the leader of the center, and also for the people who we will be helped.
So I think what we need to do is to identify a good strategy for the extension. When we got the money first, it was not really meant for summer, the center. It was we changed the idea. Once we got the money, we changed the idea that it would be useful to not focus all the money at Stony Brook, but to make it global. There was a very determined and deliberate idea to go forward. The reason why we got the money was because of the thing that I alluded to. Simons Foundation likes to support things that are not yet supported by DOE or NSF, but they know there is a real scientific, merit to it. That's when they jump in. Now, when we want to extend it, they will have the same basic philosophy, which means that we can't go and say, okay, we're going to do something, we will do simulations for EPIC collider detector. I don't think that's going to be a determining case for it. What we have to come up with is a complementary science that we have not explored with the first detector, make it complementary, go out of the core nuclear physics idea and see what the collider can do. So the second detector is a very, very compelling thing. We have not talked about it, and there are collisions going to happen. Is the ability that we have kept open. So can we come up with a compelling idea that says, here is the science, which the first detector might only scratch, but the second detector is needed to do it well. So the timeline between the first and the second detector will determine whether it is something that we learn after running the first detector for a few months and say, oh my God, we missed it. Or we can think about it now, looking at all the world's ideas. What is LHCP doing? What is Alice doing? What are things coming up from Jefferson Lab? And say, here are the things that we think will be complementary to the first detector. So complementarity of physics, complementarity of detector technologies, and complementarity of people. You don't want the same people to say, okay, I'm going to finish EPIC, and now I'm going to go to that. Some people will do it, large collaborations, large institutes have to do it, but we need to have a group, an expanded group of people come in. So in the next year, we are going to develop these ideas. In fact, I'm thinking of having some workshops, ad hoc workshops, focused on some ideas. And absolutely, we will go out to request ideas. I think the next generation of this center will not be centered around a smaller group as it was before. I'd like to expand it as a network proposing this. So that's the general idea, but I'm happy to listen to other experiences.
So our coffee break is drinking, but I think it's I think you agree that it's very well spent time for us. So just drinking coffee, listening and talking about things for the future. So let's thank Abhay.